welcome to another episode number 50 of The Hustle Show. My name is Christian Ariola, and I'm going to be the host of today's episode. And I'm super excited for having you here listening to another amazing entrepreneurial story. You know, the ones that we really enjoy sharing, the rawness, the behind the scenes that most people don't post on social media, everything that nobody talks about, you know, all the harshness and everything that's behind the 10-year overnight success. That's exactly what we talk here. And if you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now underneath this video if you're watching it on YouTube, or if you're listening on the go in our podcast experience. Make sure you hit it right now, subscribe. It's completely free. It's not going to cost you anything. And you're going to continue enjoying a lot of motivational content every single week that we put together for you. And on today's episode, we have another crazy story from Alex, who is starting in the coaching space at the age of 21, which is something very, very uncommon that I need to talk about with him. Because when I think about a coach, I think about, you know, an experienced 40, 50-year-old, not a 21-year-old. So I'm definitely looking forward to share that story with you, as he was building leaders to, you know, build multi-million-dollar companies and organizations. So right now he's 8 years later, he's now one of the highest client success rates in the industry, having personally led over 2,152 enrollments. That's amazing. And everything that he's doing, you know, he's continually helping people, building people up. And that's the reason why we have him on the show. So welcome to the show, Alex.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
It's exciting, man. It's quite a fascinating story. Like I said, not every day we hear about a 21-year-old coaching and you know, leading leaders to build a multi-million-dollar company. So I'm eager to ask you, what is the story there?
Yeah, so I've been in the coaching space since I was 19, and I've actually been in the personal development or the self-help, the spirituality space for pretty much my whole life. I had a challenge with a stutter when I was younger, and clinical speech therapy didn't really work for me. And so I went to personal development and the spirituality route. That's what really worked. And so I was brought to my first event when I was 19 years old, and it was after like a pretty big life event in my life. And as someone who had a stutter, I really would do anything to get people to like me. I was overcompensating for it. I never felt good enough. I never felt like I was worthy of love or being liked from people. So I thought that if I could achieve and I could do things, that I would be able to get that recognition. And so when I was 19 years old in college, like I would do anything to get people to like me, so much so that I actually started selling drugs. And so I was at a party when I was 19. It was May 5th, 2008. And I come home from a party. It's like 3 a.m. and I pass out. And at 5:30, my window shatters and the SWAT team comes in with assault rifles and they go DEA, DEA. And I get thrown on the floor and I get arrested for selling drugs. And so that was actually my first experience as an entrepreneur. And at that point, I knew that I didn't have it figured out. I really needed some help. And so I went to my first event. It was a personal development event. And that's what really shifted everything for me, of what had an experience to where like I had certain belief patterns. I had patterns that were running my life that I wasn't conscious of. And so that's what really got me into the space of coaching, of seminars. And I got into online marketing at that age. And then I started to really coach people around internet marketing, around building a business when I was 20 and 21 years old.
That's amazing. Quite a fascinating story. And thanks for sharing and being honest with us. You know, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you believe this or not, but we've had several people that have started that same way. And you know, they went through the same, you know, through the same hole, going down and then coming back up. So it's fascinating to me to hear how that sometimes can really build your entrepreneurial skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I believe that if people were given the option to do it the right way or the wrong way, I believe that 99% of the people would do it the absolute right way. Just at that point in time, like I didn't know any other way, you know? And I believe that that's true for many people who actually could go down that route, that they feel like that's the only option.
So how did you go? You said that personal development event changed your life. How was that like? How did that influence your life back in the day?
Yeah, so that was like I went there and I just saw that like just how powerful our beliefs are. And that really really I was always so attached, like to what people thought of me for because I stuttered. And so what I realized was it wasn't my stutter that needed to change. It was the story that I told myself around it. And so that was really the start of me really reshaping and redefining what my story was. I believe our story is so powerful. And the reason or our results are also our results are a result of the stories that we tell ourselves. And those are a result of the the belief systems that we have as well.
That's very true. And I probably fall under that category as well. The story that you keep saying to yourself is the one that stops you from doing things that we actually want. And I know that you overcome this thing that you were going through. You not only overcome it physically, but more importantly, mentally. So how were you able to turn your story around? Who or what is behind the reason of how were you able to achieve that and turn around your story?
Yeah, so what was so fascinating to me as I started to go to these different events, and so I know that a lot of your audience may be making the transition to be an entrepreneur or going into it full time, or maybe they have a part-time business. And what really helped me was being around people physically. So going to events, like I became a seminar junkie, honestly, where I loved going to events and I loved meeting people who were doing big things in the world who just had that mindset, that was so different of my 20 and 21-year-old friends. And so going to events was a huge shift for me. And as I was at those events, what really was impactful for me was I was able to attract amazing mentors into my life. And so I've had amazing mentors that have lifted me up and who stood for me and who stood for my greatness when I wasn't able to really stand for it myself yet. And so I would say the number one thing that really catapulted my growth was having incredible mentors in my life.
That's awesome, man. And time and time we hear about the importance of mentors. I've seen it firsthand. It can really change your life to have a mentor in your life. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So and I know you touched base a little bit, but like everybody that is listening right now, they're starting out, they're trying to find their way out to entrepreneurship. Maybe they don't know that millionaire next door. What type of tip would you give them to find that mentor, maybe the first mentor in their lives?
Yeah, so whenever I'm hiring a mentor, and I work with, I have like 7 coaches right now, so I'm an extreme example, and I believe that, or I look for 3 things. Number one, do they have the results in their life that I want? Number two, are they producing the results for their clients that I want? And number three, are their morals and values in alignment with mine? Like, are they someone who I want to follow? And whose life I want to model. And for me, at this point in my life, like if someone's great in business, but yet their health is suffering or their relationships are suffering, like their marriage is falling apart, like that's not somebody who I personally follow. That's just my level of integrity with who I follow. And so that doesn't have to be what your standards are. I just want to share that that's important for me, for someone to follow. So I look for those 3 things. So I'd look for them, and I would do what it takes to hire them to work with them. I'm a huge advocate of believing of investing in yourself, because investing in yourself, it shows it sends a message to the universe that hey, I'm worth it. I'm worth investing in to get the help necessary to create the life and business of my dreams. So I would suggest find someone who has the results that you want, that are producing it for their clients, that are in alignment with your morals and values, and then do what it takes to hire them.
So you started finding mentors, you started going to networking events, getting around like-minded people, and you decide to start a business. What is that transition like? What was going on in your mind when you decided to turn this into a business?
Yeah, so I think a big point there too is I went to networking events and I also went to seminars. So I was investing my money to go to seminars and conferences that were around internet marketing, that were around personal development, that were around entrepreneurship. And so I think that's a big piece, because I look at, in pricing, it's a filtration system for the quality of people who are going to be there. So the higher the investments, usually it's the more serious level of entrepreneur who's going to be there. And so that's really what I learned. And so for me, how I made that transition was that I was at these higher level events, and there were people who were doing incredible things in their lives of that, like I wanted in my life and that I wanted to model, and that I honestly wasn't doing, like I wasn't doing these. And what I saw of all these people who are crushing it, who are getting these great results there was other, people who are my age, 20, 21 years old, that were building $500,000, multiple $1 million businesses, is that they had mentors. And so for me, like I'm also an extreme example, I believe, is that I found a mentor who I wanted to work with, and I invested my entire my next semester's college tuition and 3 months of rent into hire a mentor and coaching program to help me build a business. And up until this day, I've invested everything to my name 3 times. So this isn't financial advice. Let me be clear. And for me, it was, I knew in my gut, and talking to these coaches, that I knew that they were going to help me get from where I want to go. And if I'm going to bet on anything in this world, I'm going to bet on myself. And so that's why, like, I've drained every investment, I've drained every savings account. I've maxed out credit cards to invest in mentors. And every time I have, it's been the greatest decision, because I believe to get from where we are to where we want to go, we need a different plan, we need a different strategy, we need different mentors who can support us in walking that path from where we are to where we want to go.
That makes sense, man. And I appreciate sharing and giving us a little bit about that, the starting point, trying to figure things out, trying to basically invest everything you got without getting a single dollar back. But you having faith, you staying on course and believing in yourself, takes you to where you are right now.
Yeah, it's something I want to share on that is, like, it's the entrepreneurial mindset, and that was a huge shift for me of thinking like an entrepreneur. Because before I was thinking like an employee, of like, oh my goodness, is this going to work? Can I do this? Like, what if it doesn't work? Like that, all that shit came up in my head, And so for me, it was like, I made a decision of like, this is my path. Like, I'm 100% committed to making this work. And it's like being committed at a level 10 to making it work. And I believe as an entrepreneur, that's really what it takes. Because it's like if you're going to get married, and if you're going to get married, and if it's on your wedding day, and say you're a guy, and there's a camera on you, and the camera's interviewing you, and your wife is watching, or your future wife is watching, and they're like, how committed are you to this marriage? How committed are you to this marriage? And you're like, I'm like a level 8. Like, I'm pretty confident in it. I definitely love her. I'm pretty sure it's going to work out. How is she going to feel in that, right? Whereas it's like, or on the other hand, it's like, yeah, I'm a freaking 10. Like, come hell or high water, like, I'm going to make this work. I love her. She's the one for me. I'll go to the end of the road. No matter what happens and shows up in life, like, I'm in this for the long run. I'm in this forever. Like, much different type of energy, right? So right. I believe it's like, and that's why, because I help entrepreneurs, I help, coaches, speakers, experts, and a lot of them making that transition from a successful career to becoming the expert in their field, getting paid for their wisdom, for their expertise. And a big part of that shift is being committed at a 10 to make it work. And that so, like, sense, yes.
And it's funny, the reference, because I actually got married about 3 months ago. So I totally resonate, and I remember that interview like if it was yesterday. Are you married as well or not?
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm in a committed relationship that's incredible right now, but we're not at that point yet.
So when on your wedding day, when they ask you that question, I know what you're going to answer.
Yeah, so do I.
So what, on the journey of starting the business, you get your first customer, you get your first client. How are the first 6 months after that for you?
The first 6 months, it's a time of growth, like what I'm so grateful for is so many of my gifts are reflected in the work I do with my clients. So, like, I don't even know how, like, how good I am at what I do until I work with my clients. So it's like I've set up a business to where in my coaching, it's like my gifts are pulled out from the challenges that my clients need solved, or even in the challenges that I haven't solved yet. So it stretches me to a new version of myself to help them accomplish the results that they're looking for. So in those 6 months, I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about the being committed at a level 10 to making it work, to standing for myself. And it was the greatest gift because I could have very easily, you know, in my transition of to taking a job in sales and being comfortable, you know, like there's very like comfortable positions to be in. And if you're looking for comfort, like my biggest suggestion to you is don't become an entrepreneur. Like if you want to be comfortable, don't be an entrepreneur. Like it is hard work, and you will hustle your ass off in the beginning, you know. And there's ways to hustle, you know, to just hustle. And there's also ways to consciously hustle and to be strategic about your hustle to achieve bigger results.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely agree. So, you know, continuing with your story, I want to compare a little bit about your current lifestyle right now with what it looked like back in the day when you were just hustle at the beginning. What does a Monday look like for you right now versus how it looked 8 years ago when you were barely starting?
So for myself, I am like I'm so blessed, man. Like I just turned 29, and I literally feel like I'm living the life of my absolute dreams. Like I'm like in an incredible relationship with in, like the most inspiring woman who I've ever met, and she's a complete total badass, and she's an entrepreneur. She has her own her own marketing agency, and like we literally travel the world together, and we build our businesses all over the world. And like I just signed a client last week for $95,000 paid in full. And it's like I wake up on a Monday and I can wake up at, you know, 9, 10, or 11 if I want to. And like I literally I can live life on my terms, and I can build my life how I want. And what I've learned too as an entrepreneur is I build my business around my life. I don't build my life around my business. And that's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned, because that's also one of the biggest pitfalls that I see most entrepreneurs make, is they become a prisoner of the system they actually create, which is also, you know, strategic hustle is so important. So you know what you're actually building. So my life didn't always look like that, you know, like, and also one more thing I'll add is like, I only work with clients who I absolutely love and who love working with me and who, you know, are committed to doing the work. And so I'm so grateful for that. I'm literally like, I'm so grateful for my life and being 29 years old. And when I first started out, it was a hustle, man. It was just like doing whatever it takes to get clients. You know, it's like working your ass off. It's like the biggest lesson that I'd say I learned is like communication is everything. So that's why I love going to live events, whether it's seminars, networking groups, whatever. It's like strengthening that communication muscle so that you're clear in your communication in your business, you know, because this is a new business. So there's uncertainty there. There's uncertainty about getting clients. There's uncertainty about marketing. There's uncertainty about so many different things. And so how you create more certainty in your message and in your clarity and in your results is by actually doing it. You know, it's like, you know, one of the biggest things I train on is sales. And you don't get great at selling without actually selling, you know, like it's an experiential process, and entrepreneurship is an experiential process. It's not like you can go to all the seminars, you can read all the books, you can go through all the online courses, and you still don't know how to be an entrepreneur. Like you have to go out there and actually do the work necessary.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100% with what you're saying. It's one of those things, and that's another thing that we always try to teach people and try to get the message across that no matter how many books you read or how many thousands of dollars you invest in a course, if you don't take action, if you don't do it for yourself, you're never going to really learn it and make it stick. So what do you think out of everything that you've been through, you know, all these years about the struggles and the hustle and the life, you know, the lifestyle of your dreams, out of everything, what do you think is the one thing, the one secret to your success?
I mean, I'm like mastering the art and the science of how to enroll clients. I would say enrollment in general. Like enrollment I believe it's the greatest skill set as an entrepreneur, to be able to enroll somebody into a vision, really. So whether it's definitely enrolling clients, it's enrolling team members into your vision, it's enrolling joint venture partners or strategic partners. like the lesson of enrollment and what it takes to be enrolling and to show up as enrolling, you know? Because I believe it's not just about a script or a sales script, you know? Like I specialize in teaching, you know, coaches and experts high-end sales and, you know, charging premiums for what the packages they're selling. And a lot of people come to me and they think that, you know, if I just had the magic script, if I just knew what to say, I'd be able to get the client. And that's not it. You know, it's like you need to be enrolling. You need to know how to enroll. Like that is the greatest skill set that you can have as an entrepreneur, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome, man. So I want to change gears a little bit from your story to what I like to call the hustle round. We're going to play this word game. I'm going to throw a word at you. The very first word that comes to mind, that's the way you say it out loud. Sounds like a plan?
Cool. So to be clear, you're gonna like give me a prompt and I say one word back.
Yep.
Okay,
You
cool.
got it. All right. Let's hit it. Hustle.
Hard.
Employee.
Team.
Boss.
CEO.
College.
Waste.
Fear.
Unstoppable.
Weakness.
Friend.
Strengths.
Power.
Motivation.
Slippery.
Books.
Power.
And last but not least, Alex.
Inspired.
Awesome. I like that house round. So everybody that is listening to us right now, we have a lot of hustlers that are trying to learn from, you know, successful people like you, try to learn and try to make that gap of the learning curve, try to minimize it, try to learn, you know, faster than if they were to experiment on them on their own. Just like we talked about earlier with finding a mentor, what would you say to them to inspire them to keep pushing and to keep hustling?
I would say that the number one thing is vision. Like you definitely need a vision, or so I would say inspired vision is really in my terminology what I call it. So you need to have a vision that's inspiring and that's bigger than yourself, that inspires you to wake up every day and it should pull you out of bed. And because that's what it takes, you know, to be an entrepreneur. Because as you're on that path, you know, challenges will arise. I can guarantee you that. And it's your ability to course correct when the train comes off the track, that your ability to course correct and to stay aligned with that vision and have a vision so powerful that when, you know, like, you know, when shit may be blowing up, that you're able to get realigned with your vision of your big why of why you're doing this, you know? So why do you want, you know, having the vision of like, what's going to do for you? What is this business going to do for you? What's going to do for your lifestyle? What's going to do for your family? What's going to do for your health, for your relationships? You know, why do you really want it? What type of contribution do you want to give back? Like having all that stuff like written out is so important, I believe, you know, to really, because as you're on that journey is to get realigned with like, why are you doing it in the first place? It's also, you know, a big reason of why, how you can you can hustle more consciously, you can hustle more strategically, is that when you have that vision in mind, you know what you're actually building. You're not just hustle to hustle.
That makes sense, man. And I appreciate the honesty. And before we wrap it up here, I would love to give everybody that is listening to us an opportunity to connect with you, to follow you around, to see what you're up to, you know, hear more about your story and everything that you're doing. How can they connect with you?
Yeah, so the best way is follow me on Facebook. I'm doing right now 5 Facebook Lives every week. So if you want more information on how to get clients, you know, how to attract more high-end clients, really on mindset. I also specialize in doing live events and retreats as well. So how to fill profitable events, or how to fill events that are really impactful for your clients and also really profitable for you. Follow me at facebook.com/AlexJMoscow. So that's facebook.com/ALEXJMOSCOW. And that's the best way to follow me. And you can I do a bunch of free content on there. And then I also have different offers for if my content's valuable for you and you want to talk about a different work that we can do together, or different free gifts that I offer on my Facebook page as well.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure that I link at thehustleshow.co/THS50, and you'll be a click away from connecting with Alex. And I just want to say, you know, really appreciate your time. I know you are super busy, but we really appreciate you coming in, being honest with us, sharing your story, sharing the struggles and everything that you went through to become this amazing, you know, entrepreneur that you've become. So I wish you nothing but success. And again, for, talking by everybody that is listening, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Cool. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to the Hustle Show audio experience. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And even if you didn't, make sure you subscribe to the podcast right now. It's still free. Visit thehustleshow.co for all the show notes and to watch the video experience of this episode. We'll see you soon.